Here are the brand new horror releases coming to Shudder this month. On November 8th is the movie Black Cab. When Anne and Patrick hail a cab after a night out, their driver is chatty and jovial, but they are in no mood to talk. In fact, the couple is barely on speaking terms, that is until they realise the driver has no intention of taking them home. Locked in the cab with no means of escape, the driver transports the couple to a stretch of deserted and supposedly haunted road. But what is his purpose and why has he selected Anne and Patrick as his victims? This is like an interesting one, kind of like a mix of paranormal and psychological horror, which sounds pretty good to me. On November 1st is Doc of Chucky. This is described as the ultimate account of the Child's Play franchise, with contributions from cast, crew, critics, historians and experts, as well as clips, photographs, archival documents, behind the scenes footage and more. Chucky is one of my personal favourite horror villains ever, so I'm definitely down for this making of documentary. It kind of felt like we more or less got a making of documentary with the recent Living with Chucky, but that was a bit more of like a focused personal perspective from the creator that grew up alongside these movies, whereas Doc of Chucky seems like it will hopefully get a lot more in depth into the behind the scenes of this amazing franchise. On November 15th is the Creep Tapes. This isn't a movie but a spin-off series from the movies Creep and Creep 2, so spoiler warning for those two films if you haven't seen them. The Creep Tapes continues to follow the secluded serial killer who lures videographers into his world with the promise of a paid job documenting his life. But as the tape rolls, the killer's questionable intentions surface with his increasingly odd behaviour, and the victims will learn they may have made a deadly mistake. I really like the Creep movies, I'm a big found footage horror fan, and I think they're pretty unique entries within that subgenre, and the character of this serial killer is so scary yet fascinating and funny at the same time, so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this one. On November 22nd is the movie Rita. While fleeing a neglectful household, 13-year-old Rita is placed in an oppressive, state-run orphanage. Her arrival provides a glimmer of hope to the girls inside, who share a prophecy that an angel will appear to release them. Encouraged by one another, the girls plan an escape to claim their freedom and expose the orphanage's abuses of power. This is apparently the first ever co-production between Hollywood and Guatemala, which is interesting. It's also based on a true story behind one of the country's most harrowing tragedies. This movie shines a light on the brave orphans whose fight for survival inspired a nationwide outcry for justice and reform. This movie doesn't really seem to be necessarily strictly a horror film, but maybe more of just a film about a horrific real event that happened. I'm not really sure how to categorise it, but I'm definitely still intrigued. On November 29th is Out Come the Wolves. Retired hunter Sophie invites her fellow hunter and childhood best friend Kyle to her family's secluded cabin deep in the woods. There she plans for Kyle to meet and teach her fiancé Nolan how to hunt for an article he's writing, as well as to share the news of their engagement. But tensions flare between Kyle and Nolan over their shared history with Sophie, escalating during the hunt that goes awry when they are ambushed by a vicious pack of territorial wolves. As alliances fracture under the pressure of survival, Sophie is forced to rely on her long-abandoned hunting prowess to face the deadly predators and save the ones closest to her heart. On November 4th is the J-Horror Virus. This is another documentary that charts the origins of Japanese horror films at the turn of the millennium. Films featuring vengeful ghosts that manifest themselves through contemporary technology. So of course here they'll be talking about iconic movies like Ringu and The Grudge, among many others, which of course had a huge impact in the genre and soon after had successful American remakes. I've admittedly not seen a ton of the original Japanese horrors from this era, but I've been meaning to for a while, so maybe this documentary will inspire that. So those are the 6 new horror releases coming to Shudder this month. Let me know which of these you're most excited for in the comments. I'm also a brand new horror channel, so would hugely appreciate you subscribing or liking, and thank you for watching.